You know, we all have a pretty good idea of what a good deed is, right? Like holding the door open for someone or donating to a charity.
Yeah, we sort of instinctively understand that these things are, good actions.
Right. But have you ever wondered if there's more to it than that? Like if some good deeds are better than others?
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today.
We're going to explore this idea of good deeds through the teachings of Master Lu. Now, if you've been following along from our very first deep dive, you'll remember Master Lu's unique perspective.
Right. He gives us this really insightful way of looking at these concepts.
Exactly. And today we're going to focus on one of his texts, specifically, difference between good deeds, merit, and virtue.
This text really helps us understand those subtle but important distinctions.
Yeah, it's not just about being a good person, it's about understanding how our actions create different kinds of positive energy.
And how that energy can impact our lives.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The text starts off with this saying that I think a lot of us have heard before. We've all heard the saying, benevolence is repaid with benevolence, malice is repaid with malice. From the Buddhist perspective, this is correct.
Yeah, it's that whole idea of what goes around comes around.
Exactly. Good deeds and thoughts refer to possessing good conduct and ideas, all of which are recorded and then karmically rewarded when the time comes.
So basically it's saying that every action we take, every thought we have, leaves a kind of karmic footprint.
Right. And those footprints will eventually come back to us in some way. The same goes for malicious thoughts and deeds. These are also recorded, with corresponding punishments meted out.
As the saying goes, retribution will be served unfailingly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The text continues. What is worth knowing is that the karmic rewards for good deeds and thoughts are not able to counteract the karmic retribution brought about by our evil deeds and thoughts.
Well, hold on a second. So you're telling me that doing a bunch of good deeds won't cancel out the bad stuff I've done?
That's exactly what Master Lu is saying. In other words, if someone who has performed numerous good deeds has also committed one serious malicious deed, they will receive their karmic reward, but be unable to escape their karmic retribution.
So it's not like some cosmic balance sheet where you can just add and subtract good and bad actions.
Not quite. It's more nuanced than that. Think of it this way. Imagine you're eating really healthy most of the time. Lots of fruits, veggies, whole grains, the good stuff.
Right. Trying to take care of myself.
Exactly. But then every now and then, you just can't resist, and you splurge on a huge, greasy burger and fries.
Oh man, I know that feeling. A cheat day.
Exactly. Now, those healthy meals are definitely good for you, but they don't magically erase the potential negative effects of that greasy burger.
I guess not. You're still going to feel kind of sluggish and maybe regret it later.
Exactly. And it's kind of the same with karma. Your good deeds, they create positive energy and lead to good outcomes, but they don't automatically wipe away the consequences of negative actions, especially if those actions were really serious.
Wow. I never thought of it that way.
And this is where it gets even more thought-provoking. The text goes on to say, that explains why some acclaimed kind-hearted people suffer in hell after they pass away.
Wait a minute. So even if you're generally a good person, you could still end up suffering after death.
That's what Master Lu's teachings suggest. It all comes down to those negative actions and the karmic retribution that comes with them.
So it's not enough to just be mostly good. You really have to be mindful of all your actions.
And this is where the concepts of merit and virtue become really important. They're not just good deeds, they're good deeds that are done with a specific intention and commitment.
So what makes merit and virtue so special? What sets them apart from regular good deeds?
Well, the text defines it this way. In Buddhism, the notions of merit and virtue are highly emphasized. What is a merit and virtue, and what good do they do? Merits and virtues are good deeds and thoughts, but they are considered to be meritorious and virtuous only after the making of a vow in front of bodhisattvas.
A vow, like a solemn promise.
Exactly. It's about making a conscious and dedicated commitment to do something good, and doing it in the presence of these enlightened beings called bodhisattvas.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that elevates the action to a different level.
Right. And the text gives a really great example using vegetarianism.
Okay.
It says, take the following example. If a person has been practicing vegetarianism for many years, but did not make a vow before the bodhisattvas, their practice can only be regarded as their personal lifestyle choice.
So just choosing to be vegetarian is a good thing in itself, but it doesn't automatically become a meritorious action.
That's right. This explains the importance of making a vow to practice vegetarianism before bodhisattva, as the practice would then become a meritorious action in our resolution to refrain from killing.
So it's the combination of the action and the vow that creates the merit.
Exactly. And this applies to all sorts of good deeds. Therefore, we must make a resolution when performing every benevolent and charitable deed, be it in helping others, showing filial piety towards our parents, or being kind to our siblings.
So every time we do something good, we should try to do it with a clear intention and maybe even a formal resolution in our minds.
And it's interesting because the text does mention one exception to this rule.
Oh.
It says, however, there is one exception: good deeds performed at Buddhist places of worship, such as a temple or Guanyin hall. Deeds performed at these places are naturally considered meritorious and virtuous, rendering unnecessary the making of a separate resolution.
Ah, I see. So the sacredness of the space itself kind of imbues the actions with merit.
That's right. And to really clarify the importance of this vow, the text uses a very practical analogy.
Okay, I love analogies. Lay it on me.
Just as our documents need to bear the signature of a JP, Justice of the Peace, to be valid, good deeds and thoughts can only be transformed into merits and virtues if a resolution has been made and is witnessed by a bodhisattva.
Ah, that makes sense. The bodhisattva is like the JP they're witnessing and validating our commitment.
Precisely.
We've just unpacked how Master Lu distinguishes good deeds from the deeper concepts of merit and virtue. Let's take a quick break here.
So now we understand the difference between good deeds and merit and virtue. But why is this so important? What's the big deal about accumulating merit and virtue?
Well, the text explains that merit and virtue have this incredible power to counteract negative karma.
Really? How so?
What is the purpose of merits and virtues? We all know the damage karmic obstacles and negative karma can cause. They're like viruses in a computer program hiding in a person's alaya consciousness.
Okay, the alaya consciousness. Now that's a bit of a complex idea. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. In Buddhism, the alaya consciousness is often referred to as the storehouse consciousness. It's like this deep level of our minds where all of our experiences, all of our actions, all of our thoughts, they all get stored as these little seeds.
And some of those seeds are positive and some are negative.
Exactly. And those negative seeds, those are what we call karmic obstacles. They're like little time bombs waiting to go off.
So how do these karmic obstacles actually affect us?
Well, the text says, when the time comes, they will be incited to take effect. This explains why a perfectly healthy person can suddenly become critically ill, get involved in an accident, or encounter a catastrophe.
You mean like things that seem to come out of nowhere? Like bad luck or sudden misfortunes?
Exactly. And the text even describes what it's like to be weighed down by a lot of negative karma. It says, some people's negative karma is so heavy that they face problems constantly throughout their lives, making their complexions dull and always blaming everybody and everything except themselves.
Oh, wow. I know a few people like that. They always seem to be struggling and they never seem to take responsibility for their own actions.
And this is where those negative karmic seeds come into play. It's like they're constantly creating these obstacles and challenges in a person's life.
It's almost like a vicious cycle, isn't it? The text mentions this too. If one continues to commit malicious deeds and acts of killing, for example, of animals, in their present life, and even if they have residual karmic rewards, their malicious deeds will transform into negative karma. In turn, it will be planted in the alaya consciousness.
So the more negative actions we take, the more negative karma we accumulate, and the more negative experiences we're likely to face.
Exactly. And that alaya consciousness stores countless karmic seeds that can trigger a person's benevolent or malicious behavior, in particular, their mental behavior. This is also where the karmic obstacles are stored.
It's all interconnected, isn't it? Our thoughts, our actions, our karma, it's all woven together.
And that's where merit and virtue come in as this powerful antidote.
Right. The text says, to remove karmic obstacles, we can only rely on significant merits and virtues. They can enter the alaya consciousness and counteract any karmic obstacles, resulting in purification.
So it's like merit and virtue have this special ability to go into that storehouse consciousness and neutralize those negative karmic seeds.
Precisely. They have the power to purify our minds and clear away those obstacles that are causing us so much suffering.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
And to illustrate this idea, the text even quotes a beautiful Buddhist verse. The body is a Bodhi tree, the mind a standing mirror bright. At all times polish it diligently, and let no dust alight.
It's a beautiful image, isn't it?
It is, and it connects perfectly to the concept of merit and virtue. We rely on our merits and virtues to remove the defilements from our minds. So just like we polish a mirror to remove the dust and see our reflection clearly, we use merit and virtue to purify our minds and see our true nature.
And ultimately, that purification leads to a more peaceful and enlightened state of being.
Right. Therefore, one of the most important functions of merits and virtues is to eliminate and counteract karmic obstacles. In fact, that is the primary goal of any Buddhist practitioner. Only when karmic obstacles are eliminated can our minds become tranquil and peaceful, thus allowing us to gain wisdom and the possibility of eventual enlightenment.
So it's not just about getting rewards or avoiding punishments. It's about cultivating a state of inner peace and wisdom.
Precisely. It's about transforming ourselves from the inside out.
So to recap, good deeds are important. They create positive karma. But merit and virtue are even more powerful because they have the ability to purify our negative karma and karmic obstacles.
And that purification is essential for achieving true peace and enlightenment.
It really makes you think about your own actions and motivations, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's not just about what we do, but why we do it. The intention behind our actions is all the difference.
And speaking of intention, this deep dive is brought to you by The Deep Dive, a nonprofit initiative dedicated to exploring insightful knowledge like this.
We believe that understanding these concepts can truly transform your life.
If you found this deep dive insightful and want to explore further, we encourage you to check out the show notes for more information on Master Lu's teachings.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future deep dives, please don't hesitate to email us.
We love hearing from you, and your suggestions help shape the direction of our show.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we hope you'll continue to explore with us in the future.
And before we go, I want to leave you with this thought. Think about a time when you helped someone. Maybe you volunteered your time or donated to a cause you believe in. Now ask yourself, what was your motivation? Were you simply going through the motions, or were you truly acting from a place of compassion and a desire to make a positive difference? The answer to that question can reveal a lot about the kind of karma you're creating.